Welcome to Wellness Wisdom. I'm going to show you how you can eat high carbohydrate foods like bread, potatoes, and rice without getting a huge spike, a massive rise in your blood sugar. Let's look at how you can reduce blood sugar spikes with resistant starch. There are three main types of food you eat in your diet: carbohydrates, fats, and protein. The types of food that raise your blood sugar, your blood glucose, the most are carbohydrates. Carbohydrate-rich foods include potatoes, yam, rice, beans, bread, corn, bananas, mangoes, sugar, and many more. Potatoes, rice, pasta, and bread contain starch. Starch is a carbohydrate made up of glucose molecules arranged like a string of beads, one joined to another. When you eat your potatoes, for example, they go into your stomach and your body starts breaking down and cutting up this big starch molecule to release the glucose. This glucose then enters your bloodstream and raises your blood glucose level, your blood sugar. There are two main types of starch to consider when thinking about blood sugar: regular starch and resistant starch. The great thing about resistant starch is that your body can't break it down to release the glucose. Instead, resistant starch stays in your gut and behaves like fiber, feeding the good bacteria in your digestive system. Foods rich in resistant starch include Irish potatoes, sweet potatoes, yam green bananas, green plantains, beans, peas, and tiger nuts. However, once you cook these foods, you destroy much of the resistant starch, turning it into regular starch, which raises your blood sugar when eaten. But here's where it gets interesting. After cooking starchy foods like potatoes, rice, and pasta in water, if you cool them in the fridge overnight, some of the regular starch transforms into a different type of resistant starch. And if you heat and cool them again, even more resistant starch forms. The best part is that heating does not destroy this newly formed type of resistant starch. You can apply the same trick with bread. Freeze it, then defrost it before eating. Using this method, you can reduce the blood sugar spike by up to 40%. Eating resistant starch also helps your body become more sensitive to insulin over time. That means that when you eat, your blood sugar won't rise as much as it used to. This is why you need to start thinking about what you're going to eat a day or two in advance. This gives you time to go through the heating and cooling process so your meals won't spike your blood sugar as much when eaten. Here's an extra tip. When cooking rice, add coconut oil to the boiling water, then cool it in the fridge overnight. This may increase the amount of resistant starch even more. There are also 3 drinks that can help stop your blood sugar from rising after eating starchy food. I recommend the first 2. The third one I don't recommend, but I'll still mention it. The first helpful drink is lemon or lime juice. Either one works. Fresh juice is better because it contains vitamin C and antioxidants. But what you really need is the acid. We have an enzyme in our saliva called salivary amylase. It breaks down starch into smaller units, eventually producing glucose. Acid from lemon or lime juice actually stops salivary amylase from working, so starch doesn't break down as easily and, well, less glucose enters your bloodstream. Additionally, acid slows the rate at which your stomach empties. This helps you feel full longer, reducing the likelihood of snacking, and, it slows down digestion. As a result, even when glucose eventually reaches your bloodstream, the rise in blood sugar is slower and more gradual. The second drink is vinegar. You've probably heard a lot about apple cider vinegar. Whether it's raw, filtered, or contains the mother, the type doesn't matter much. White vinegar, apple cider vinegar, rice vinegar, they all work. The only thing you need to watch for is added sugar. Vinegar works similarly to lemon juice, but, it actually has some additional benefits. It helps your muscles absorb more glucose from your blood. Apple cider vinegar also contains antioxidants and polyphenols from the apples used to make it. And if it's raw and unfiltered, it contains the mother, which acts as a probiotic, especially useful if you have gut issues. The third drink is wine. Yes, wine is a bit acidic, but it also lowers your blood sugar through another mechanism. When you're not eating, your liver breaks down stored carbohydrates to produce glucose and also makes glucose from protein and fat. This keeps your blood sugar from falling too low. However, when you drink alcohol, your liver prioritizes breaking down the alcohol over producing glucose. This causes your blood sugar to drop lower and lower. While wine does reduce blood sugar, it does so unpredictably and can be dangerous, especially if you're taking blood sugar lowering medications. Moreover, people with diabetes often already have fatty liver, and since alcohol also causes fatty liver, it compounds the problem. If I were to rank these three drinks from worst to best, wine would be at the bottom due to its unpredictable effects and added liver burden. Lemon or lime juice comes next thanks to the vitamin C and antioxidants. At the top is vinegar, especially apple cider vinegar, because it boosts insulin sensitivity and supports gut health. To reduce the blood sugar spike from starchy foods, think about your strategies before, during, and after meals. Before eating, you have several options. You can take 2 tablespoons of lemon or lime juice or vinegar, mix it into half a glass of water, and drink it. You can take a fiber supplement such as konjac root or psyllium husk with plenty of water. Another option is 5 grams of fenugreek powder or 500 milligrams of a fenugreek supplement. You can also take 400 milligrams of a Gymnema Sylvestre supplement. Finally, eating a large plate of vegetables, especially leafy greens, before your meal will give you the maximum blood sugar control. Lowering your blood sugar response starts before your meal. These tips are very useful if you're going out for some function or a special occasion, and you're not sure that there will be healthy food available for you to eat. So we've talked about what to do before your meal. Now, what do you do while you're eating to make sure that your blood sugar doesn't spike too high? First of all, never eat your carbohydrates naked. Always combine them with protein like meat, fish, or eggs, with fat, or with fiber like leafy vegetables. Combine them with at least one of these, ideally all 3. There's a downloadable document in the description that contains a list of different groups of foods to help you know how to combine them. If you're eating a salad that has a dressing made up of oil and vinegar, both of these will help to reduce the blood sugar spike from any starch that you eat later. For example, if you eat an egg sandwich, the egg has fat and protein, which combine well with the carbohydrates in the bread. If you eat rice, you can pair it with beans, as the beans have fiber and a little protein while the rice provides starch. You can add a bit of butter or ghee to your starchy potatoes, or have your oatmeal with Greek yogurt, nuts, seeds, and berries to add fiber, protein, and fat. If you're having a starter with your meal, make it vegetables. Don't start with bread. Don't start with bread. When you look at your plate, find the food that has the most fiber. This is typically your vegetables, and eat those first. Next, eat your protein and fat, your meat, chicken, fish, etc. And then last of all, eat your starchy foods like rice, potatoes, or pasta. But there are some situations where it isn't very practical to separate your food into fiber, fat, and carbs and eat them one by one. For example, if you're eating spaghetti bolognese, it would be hard to eat the sauce first and the spaghetti last. And again, you don't want to suck all the joy out of eating, so you might just decide to eat everything together, which is just fine. If you don't want to drink vinegar and water, you can find ways to add vinegar to your food. This could be as a dressing on your vegetables or salad, or by including pickles. The Japanese use vinegar in rice. The British pair it with fish and chips. All of these can help reduce the spike from the carbs in your meal. Let's talk about what to do after your meal. But before that, you might be asking, why should I be worried about blood sugar spikes anyway? Why should I be worried about blood sugar spikes anyway? Well, the main function of glucose, which comes from carbohydrates, is to enter your cells so you can use it for energy. When your cells keep getting flooded with sugar from repeated spikes, at a certain point, they don't know what to do with all that sugar. If they can't use it fast enough, it just piles up inside your cells, and you slow down. Imagine going on a journey with your car. If you have a full tank of gasoline, you're going to get much further than someone who has only half a tank. Think of your pancreas as that car. It produces insulin to bring down your blood sugar. By the time you find out you have high blood sugar, you've already lost half of the insulin-producing cells in your pancreas. So if you have diabetes, you're starting your journey with half a tank, making it much harder to bring your blood sugar down after meals. There's another problem: insulin resistance. That means even when your pancreas produces insulin, the insulin goes to your cells, asks them to open up and remove sugar from your blood, and they refuse. That means even when your pancreas produces insulin, the insulin goes to your cells, asks them to open up and remove sugar from your blood, and they refuse. The sugar just stays in your bloodstream, making it much more difficult to manage blood sugar after each spike. When you have excess sugar floating around, it attaches itself to various parts of your body, which can eventually lead to heart disease, kidney problems, memory issues, and even wrinkles. This process is called browning, the same way bread turns brown when toasted. Once it's toasted, you can't untoast it. The more glucose spikes you have, the more sugar moves around your body, and the faster you're browning on the inside. Even if you don't have high blood sugar, frequent spikes tell your body to store fat. These swings in blood sugar can affect your day-to-day quality of life. You're more likely to experience dizziness, brain fog, anxiety, food cravings, headaches, mood swings, nausea, and constant hunger. When you eat a sugary snack, you might feel great for a while due to the release of dopamine, the happy hormone that comes with a sugar hit. But when your blood sugar crashes later, you start to feel those negative effects. Blood sugar spikes also temporarily weaken your immune system. While an occasional spike isn't a big deal, repeated spikes throughout the day, every day, leave large periods when your immune system isn't functioning at its best, making you more vulnerable to infections. Repeated spikes throughout the day, every day, leave large periods when your immune system isn't functioning at its best, making you more vulnerable to infections. So, what should you do after a meal? Within 30 minutes of eating, try to get some movement for 10 to 20 minutes. Longer is even better. You can walk, dance, do some kickboxing, or climb stairs. It doesn't matter what you do, as long as you're slightly breathless and you're engaging the big muscles in your body, especially your legs and trunk. Longer is even better. You can walk, dance, do some kickboxing, or climb stairs. It doesn't matter what you do, as long as you're slightly breathless and you're engaging the big muscles in your body, especially your legs and trunk. The amazing thing about muscles is that when they're active, they can pull glucose out of the blood without needing insulin. This is especially beneficial for people with type 1 diabetes because it means they'll need to inject less insulin after meals, which is always a good thing. Now, what about snacks? Choose savory rather than sweet. Opt for foods like cheese, nuts, vegetables with dip or pickles. These are better options. Choose starchy food rather than sugary food, and I'll explain why in a moment. Also, drink some vinegar with your snack, either before or within 30 minutes of eating it. Choose starchy food rather than sugary food, and I'll explain why in a moment. Also, drink some vinegar with your snack, either before or within 30 minutes of eating it. Opt for foods like cheese, nuts, vegetables with dip, or pickles. These are better options. Choose starchy food rather than sugary food, and I'll explain why in a moment. Also, drink some vinegar with your snack, either before or within 30 minutes of eating it. Why choose starch over sugar? Because vinegar affects the way your body breaks down starch. It helps slow the digestion and absorption, but it doesn't affect the way your body breaks down simple sugar. Because vinegar affects the way your body breaks down starch. It helps slow the digestion and absorption, but it doesn't affect the way your body breaks down simple sugar. So if you eat a lot of sugar, your blood sugar will still rise, even if you've taken vinegar. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends and family, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel for more simple health tips that make a big difference. And most importantly, subscribe to the channel for more simple health tips that make a big difference. And while you're at it, tap the notification bell so you never miss out on our latest content. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Stay healthy and keep smiling.